All right, so in order to show you guys how it works, the best way to do it is by examples. So if you guys forget, you can rewatch one example when you get home, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to do division. Now, if you guys remember on Friday, we actually did long division. So we're going to do division, but it's called synthetic division, okay? Not long division like what we did last time. Last time a problem like this would take us about maybe 5 to 7 minutes, okay? Because we had to kind of work through it slowly. Let me show you how we're supposed to do these problems. So the first step, and again, I can't express how important it is for you guys to make sure that you're seeing it. If you want, you could just watch at first, and then I'll stop and I'll let you guys copy everything down. But if you want, just watch right now, and then I'll pause the video. You guys can copy it, and then we'll do the next one kind of together. But just watch for right now, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to make this little symbol right here. It's kind of like a backward L. That's going to be our box. That's where we're going to put our root, okay? Now, do you see how right here we have the x plus 5? Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the sign. So change the sign and put it in the weird shaped box. So in other words, -5 is going to go there. Okay? Again, if you don't want to write this down right now, don't worry. I'll stop. I'll let you guys catch up, and then we'll do the next one together.
How do you know you're supposed to change the sign?
Well, so the question is, how do we know we change the sign? That's the process. So the process says you always get whatever number's there. So if it was like an x minus 1, you would have put a +1 over there. Okay? So you always just switch it. Okay? Because the reason why is that's the root. In other words, if you got x plus 5 and you set it equal to 0, you get an answer of -5. That's why we put the negative over there. But it's easier just to, instead of making you do a problem, saying switch the sign, right? Now what you're going to do after that is you're going to get every single coefficient only, okay? Only the coefficient. And you're going to list them: 2, 10, 9, 38. Okay, you're going to put them like that. All right, so far I took the opposite of what I'm dividing by, x plus 5. I got -5. I put in that little half box. And then I got my coefficients, 2, 10, 9, and 38. I line them up, okay? Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create this line right here, because that's where we're going to be adding and multiplying and stuff. But right now it may not make sense, but let me show you. On top, we add, and on under the line we multiply. Okay, so if it's above the line, we add it. If it's under the line, we're going to multiply. Okay, so here's the process. You drop your first number. Okay, so the 2 goes here. Now multiply -5 times 2. Okay, so you're multiplying. So notice how there's a multiplication symbol here. Okay, because that's what you're going to multiply times that number in the half box. So -5 times 2 is -10. Now notice, since the -10 is above the line, that means you add now, right? So 10 plus -10 is 0. Okay, now since the 0 is under the line, you multiply. -5 times 0 is 0. Now you're going to add 9 plus 0. That's 9. And now I get to multiply. -5 times 9, that's going to be -45. And now I add 38 plus -45 is a -7. Now, over here on this side, I usually do this, okay? I draw like a very dark line right here. Because the very last number is actually your remainder. The very last number is your remainder. The other numbers in front are your solutions, okay, to this whole problem. So, how does this make any sense? Well, here we go. I'm going to write 2, 0, 9, and then a -7. Now, what was my original problem that I was dividing by? What was the degree on it?
5.
The one all the way over there, the degree. It's x to the what as the highest power?
3.
3, right? So if you do division, the power always goes down by 1. So that means instead of a third power, it becomes second, right? So here we go. Look, I'm going to write 2x squared plus, and then just start writing the next letters. So x to the first plus 9. Now there's no x on that. Okay, and then remember I told you the last number is my remainder, right? And if you remember the way we wrote our remainder from Friday, you get -7 and you divide it by the thing that you were dividing by, this thing up here, the x plus 5, that goes on the bottom. And you're done. You just did long division, but quickly. Okay, this goes really fast. You normally don't talk your way through it. I'll do a couple examples more, okay? Because I want to make sure you guys get this. Synthetic division is the fastest way to work your way around long division, because long division takes forever. Synthetic division is quick. Okay, so let me show you like the example they have in the very first page for you guys at the very top. Okay, but before I do that, let me just pause, give you guys a minute to write this down. Okay. All right, so guys, I wrote down this other example right here. Okay, this is the example in the front of your worksheet. So obviously they already did all the work for us. It's right in the very front of your worksheet. I just want you guys to see it done, not the way they explain it, but just going through it. Okay, and then we'll do another one. So we're going to put this half box, right? And in that half box, I'm going to put a +1, okay? Because remember, this is the number that I'm supposed to put in the half box, but the opposite of it, right? So I'm going to put a 1 there, okay? And then I get my coefficients, okay? And there was a question earlier about, do I take the negatives with me if they're negative? Yes, you do. So you're going to put a 2, a -5, a 5, and a -2. Now, I'm showing you guys the way I do this, okay? That way you guys can understand, like, okay, this is how he sets up his remainder. So you're going to notice I put that little, like, wall right there already, because that's what I do whenever I do these problems. Because I know that at the very last number, whatever number's in that little half box in the bottom, that's my remainder. So I'm kind of trying to quarter it off to say, like, hey, this number here, that's my remainder. So remember, you're going to add and multiply. So let's drop the first number, which is a 2, right? Now I multiply 2 times 1, so I get 2. Now remember, you write your answers, you start kind of going back and forth, top, bottom, top, bottom. So -5 plus 2 is -3, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then 1 times -3 is -3. 5 plus -3 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. And then -2 plus 2 is 0. So that means there's no remainder. That means that x plus 1, I'll kind of highlight it right here, this is actually a solution. That's a factor of the original function, the original expression. It's a factor of it. That can solve for it. Okay? So if they tell me that it's a factor, that means that 1, the number 1 that we put in the half box, that's a solution. Okay? The number 1 is a solution to this problem. If you were to plug it in, you'd get a 0. Okay? So just thank you. So just again, remember, you're going to take that top number 2, drop it down. Okay, when you drop it all the way to the bottom, under the line you multiply, above the line you add. Okay, so when you drop that 2, you're going to multiply 1 times 2. You get your answer and you put it above the line. Now you add those two numbers. -5 plus 2 is -3. So once you put the -3 on the bottom, that means you got to multiply. Okay, and then 1 times -3 is -3. So now you add those. 5 plus -3 is 2. And now multiply 1 times 2 gives you 2, and -2 plus 2 is 0. So let's write our answer here. Since there's a remainder of 0, then I'm not going to put a remainder in my solution, okay? I'm just going to write those numbers. And then I ask myself, what was the highest power of the original thing I divided?
3.
A 3. So that means I go down 1 and I write x squared minus 3x plus 2. And that right here is my solution to this problem. So in other words, if you would have done long division, this is the answer you would have gotten.
How can we change the sign of the 2 factorial?
The sign of the 2, which one?
Oh, it's not. Never mind. I thought it was in the original problem.
Oh. Let me erase this. Let me use a box here instead. So notice no remainder for that one. Okay? Which is fine. If there's no remainder, perfect. That just means that x minus 1 is a factor of that function. Okay? Also, that 1 is a solution or is a 0. Okay, we call it a 0 because look at the remainder. It's a 0. So that's why we call them zeros, because that means it factors it perfectly. So let's try one more. I'm just getting them from the back here. Let's try the number 10. This is a longer one, and then we'll be done. So example number 3, again, you're not doing the back page. So even though I'm doing number 10, you don't have to write it down and do it. We're just kind of using it as an example. Don't know what I just did there. So here we go. X to the 4th minus 4x cubed plus x squared plus 7x minus 2 divided by x minus 2. Now guys, I'm going to give you guys a minute. I want you guys to try to set this up. I want you to try to write out all your coefficients and everything and try to see if you can get at least to the answer part. Maybe you don't write the full solution, but at least do the addition and subtraction. So I'm going to give you like a minute or two, okay? We get out here at 1:39. That's 14 minutes. We should have more than enough time. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to try to work this one out. And if you get lost, just stop and we'll get to it, okay? I wrote a question at the end, is x minus 2 a factor of that big function? Now remember, it's only a factor if your remainder is 0. If it's not 0, then it's not a factor, right? So I'm going to work through this quickly. So here's a 2, right? Because it's not x minus 2. I don't want to use the minus 2. I want to use the positive 2. I'm going to switch the sign. My coefficients are 1, -4, 1, 7, and -2. And then right next to the last number, I like drawing like this thicker line here. That way I know that's where my remainder is. I'll add and multiply. And I drop 1 right away. Okay, so the 1 goes there. 2 times 1 is 2. -4 plus 2 is -2. 2 times -2 is -4. 1 plus -4 is -3. 2 times -3 is a positive, -6. 7 plus a -6 is a +1. And 2 times 1 is 2. And -2 times 2, plus 2 is 0. So a remainder of 0, I'm going to put right here, yes, it is, okay? It is a factor of that, okay? That means that 2 is a solution, okay? So the number 2 that we put in the half box is a solution to this. All right, so if they ask you like solve, choose an answer. Now, just to write it down, I have a 1, a -2, a -3, and a 1 with the remainder of 0, so I don't have to put anything on the side here. And then I think, okay, originally my highest power was x to the 4th. So that means my power has to go down 1. So it's going to be 1x cubed minus 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. And that would be my solution to this. So you guys have 4 problems you got to do. Okay? The one's in the front. So that's all you got to do. You got 8 minutes. No, I'm sorry. 9 minutes. Honestly, you can get them done right now. It does not take that long. All right?